All right, let's jump right in. You know, the AI revolution is absolutely everywhere you look. But here's the thing, it all runs on silicon. And the companies making the world's most advanced chips, well, they can't do it by themselves. Nope, they lean on just a handful of absolute titans, the ones who build the mind-bogglingly complex machines that make it all happen. You've probably heard the saying, they're the picks and shovels of this digital gold rush. So today, we're going to break down the 5 most important players in this whole game.
So here's what we've got on tap. We'll introduce you to these titans, then we'll really unpack what gives them such a powerful edge. After that, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, the single biggest risk they all face. Then we'll check in on the latest scores, see how they're doing right now, and wrap it all up with an analyst's blueprint for how you can think about this group.
Okay, so let's set the stage. The demand for AI, high-performance computing, advanced memory, it's just exploding. I mean, it's unbelievable. And what that does is create this massive, multi-year need for new, cutting-edge semiconductor factories, or fabs as they're called. And that, right there, brings us to the most important question. Who actually builds the equipment inside those factories? The machines that are performing these impossibly precise tasks on a scale you can't even see, turning these simple silicon wafers into the brains of our entire digital world.
You know, the best way to think about these companies is as the arms merchants of the tech wars. They don't really care who wins between the chip designers. They sell the essential tools to everybody. And this unique position makes them a foundational layer, like the bedrock of the entire tech ecosystem. And here they are, the Fab Five. Just look at this table. Right off the bat, you can see the sheer scale of Applied Materials. They're the diversified giant, way out in front on revenue. Then you've got Lam Research, who are the masters of a supercritical process called etch. Next is KLA, the quality inspector. Then Tokyo Electron, the Japanese juggernaut. And finally, ASM, a smaller, super-focused specialist. But look closer. The really telling number here? Check out those gross margins. Most are hanging around the high 40s, right? But then there's KLA, 60%. Wow. That kind of profitability, that screams we have a powerful, powerful advantage, and we're definitely going to get into what that is.
Which is the perfect transition to their moats. See, these companies aren't just big, they are incredibly well-defended fortresses. So let's break down exactly what makes each one so dominant.
So, real quick, what's a moat? It's just an advantage that's incredibly difficult for a competitor to overcome. It could be technology, scale, customer relationships, you name it. For these 5, it's pretty much all of the above.
First up, Applied Materials, or AMAT. I want you to think of them as the one-stop shop. They offer the widest range of tools, which creates these huge switching costs for customers. Once you've built your whole manufacturing process around AMAT's ecosystem, it's really hard to leave.
Lam Research is different. They're a specialist. Their moat is this deep, technical mastery of a process called etch, which basically carves microscopic channels into silicon. They are the absolute go-to for building those complex, high-rise 3D memory chips, a field with insane barriers to entry.
Okay, now KLA, you could argue they have the strongest moat of the entire group. They're the inspectors, the detectives. Their machines are absolutely mission-critical for hunting down tiny, invisible defects. I mean, imagine you're running a multi-billion-dollar factory and you start pumping out faulty chips. It's a total catastrophe. Well, KLA is the company that prevents that nightmare. And because of their near monopoly, they can charge a serious premium for that peace of mind. And that is why you see that 60% gross margin we were talking about. They are quite literally indispensable.
Tokyo Electron, or TEL, has its own fortress. It totally dominates the market for what are called coder/developer systems. These are the machines that prepare the silicon wafers for lithography, which is the process of printing those crazy intricate circuit patterns. With something like 90% market share in their niche, they're an essential partner, and basically uncontested.
And last but not least, we have ASM. Their moat is being the pioneer and the leader in a hyper-specialized technology called atomic layer deposition. This process builds films one single atomic layer at a time. It's an absolutely crucial step for creating the smallest, most advanced transistors out there.
So it's pretty clear these companies have some incredible strengths. But they also share one massive looming risk that definitely keeps investors up at night.
And this slide right here, this spells out that risk perfectly. It's their exposure to China. You see, as China has been pushing like crazy to build up its own domestic chip industry, it's become a massive customer for all this equipment. I mean, look at those numbers. For companies like Lam Research and KLA, we're talking over 40% of their revenue coming from China.
So you can imagine, any new trade restriction, any little escalation, it's a direct threat to a huge piece of their business. It's the tightrope they are all walking, every single day.
Okay, so with all that in mind, the strong moats, the big risk, let's get to the latest intelligence. How have these titans actually been performing recently?
Let's kick things off with KLA. They saw their revenue surge by nearly 24% in their last fiscal year. Pretty impressive. And this wasn't just some random growth either. It was driven directly by the AI boom. As AI chips get more and more complex, the need for KLA's super meticulous inspection tools becomes absolutely critical. And then you've got Lam Research, which posted an even bigger number. Its revenue jumped an incredible 34% year-over-year in its latest quarter.
And where did that come from? A huge wave of spending from chip foundries and memory makers, especially over in Taiwan, as they all ramp up production for the next generation of electronics.
But you know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Applied Materials, for example, tells a much more complicated story. On one hand, they just posted a record quarter, solid 8% revenue growth, great. But in the very next breath, they give a really cautious outlook, actually guiding for a notable revenue decline for the next quarter. And why? They pointed to a pause in China and some issues with customer timing. This split-screen view perfectly captures the kind of uncertainty that's swirling around the market right now.
So with all this information floating around, the strong moats, the China risk, the mixed results, how does an analyst suggest you approach this sector? Well, the source material lays out a really clear, actionable blueprint. The recommendation is to actually treat these 5 companies as a diversified mini portfolio, making up a hypothetical 5% slice of your broader portfolio. And notice the weighting here. Applied Materials and Lam Research get the biggest shares, with KLA, TEL, and then ASM taking up smaller positions.
And here's the thinking behind that. AMT acts as your stable, diversified core. Lam Research is there to capture the upside from a memory market recovery. KLA is the high-quality anchor, but its premium price tag keeps the position a little more moderate. TEL adds some nice regional and product diversification, and ASM, well, that serves as a smaller satellite bet on its high-growth niche. It's a strategy designed to balance stability with some targeted growth.
So there you have it. The blueprint is pretty clear. These 5 companies, they're really the bedrock of all modern technology. Each one has a powerful, defensible business, but at the same time, they're facing these huge pressures, both cyclical and geopolitical. And that really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? In this incredibly high-stakes race to build our future, who has what it takes to stay on top, and which of these titans will be the first to stumble?